Hey, this is Jon Johnson with Van Dyke Mortgage, and this is our team for the day. We're going to be going over the mortgage market mastermind. Normally it's myself and Gabriela with others. Gabriela's not able to make it today. It's mainly my fault, not her fault. We got some nice, fun people in the house. We got Austin over to the right. In a little bit of goofy mood right now. We got Vanessa.
Hi.
And we got Tanya Canarte. Hey, hey, hey. All right, let's jump into this. We got a lot to get over. All right, so the goal of this YouTube page, the goal of these videos that I'm putting out there is to try and help you become debt-free through home ownership. But before we get started, I actually haven't seen y'all.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I haven't seen you probably in a couple months now. But tell me something that's been on your mind in this industry. Austin, go ahead.
Can't start with me.
Austin, go ahead. First thing comes to your mind. First thing that comes to your mind for something that you've been thinking about in this industry. Okay. Yeah, you're correct. I mean, there's a lot of, last year was a crazy year. You know, interest rate doubled. It's close to the middle of it. And it was just going up and up for months and months. So it is good to see it kind of stabilize a little bit. You are correct. Vanessa.
Borrowers are coming out more, like they're not as scared as they were maybe in November, December.
Yeah.
To inquire about mortgages. So because of the market, like you said, interest rates slowly going down. So that's good.
You got it. That's also a seasonal thing too. We'll get more into that data as well. You'll never know it because of the news, because they'll only tell you bad news, or it appears to be bad news. But every November, December, there's like a drop off in lag when it comes to activity. And then come January 1st, it's almost like New Year's resolutions. Everybody wants to buy a home again. So we'll see how it goes. And once again, because the interest rates are thinking better. But Tanya, what's on your mind?
I've seen seller concessions come back.
There you go.
Which is awesome.
That's huge.
Helps our people.
Yeah, it's huge for first-time home buyers. I mean, we take care of all types of buyers. We take care of first-time buyers, second-time buyers, investments, foreign nationals, FHA, VA. We even take care of, a lot of portfolio type of loans. But I know dear to my heart is, first-time home buyers. I'm trying to have somebody get a home for the first time. And, being able to own a $300,000 home, even with bringing the minimum, could be potentially $20,000. That's going to be tough for many people to be able to figure out. But if you can get seller credit of $5,000, $10,000, maybe combine that with some down payment assistance, many of these buyers can close to $0 when it comes to closing. So I'm with you on that. And for me, I'm a huge fan of mobile homes. Nobody talks about it. Nobody thinks about it. They only think about existing mobile homes, which are, a lot of times more raggedy. Grandmother had one and it was not the prettiest looking thing. But if you look at some of these newer mobile homes, they actually are very nice. Very nice. And I might take you to check out some mobile homes one day. Because over in Lakeland, Plant City, they have some very big mobile home dealers. When you walk in there, you would think you're walking into like a brand new, $400,000 home, with how nice these homes are. Except you can get them for less than half the price. So that's where my head is at. I'll keep it there and we'll keep it moving. So news headlines for rates. So I'll put this up here because this is what mainly buyers are seeing, and even real estate agents are seeing when it comes to interest rates. Now, this is not always correct, but this is what people are seeing and thinking about when they think about interest rates. So this is as of this morning as well. So mortgage rates fall to levels since last seen in September. That one may be true. Mortgage demand jumps nearly 28% in 1 week as interest rate dropped to the lowest point in months. That one's similar as well. Demand is jumping up. We've all seen an increase in pre-approvals over the past week or two. And mortgage rates are actually slightly higher this week. I don't know about all that. I actually saw a dip yesterday in mortgage rates, because mortgage rates go up and down every single day. So maybe two of those are close to correct. And the last one, I would say I don't know about that one. But good. Rates historically, it's always good to keep this in perspective. Many buyers think that rates are astronomical right now. And if somebody's only 25, 30 years old, they may not have seen higher interest rates before. So looking at this, you can be able to see that interest rates, historically, they're actually not doing too bad. They're probably right around historical average. Actually, they're a little bit lower than historical average right now. And there's some projections right now from some of the best economists in America right now, they're saying that they may come down an extra percentage point within the next 3 to 6 months. The last 12 months, I want to get your opinion on this. So rates, of course, they doubled. They kept going up and up and up. It was never good news when it came to rates. I know buyers and real estate agents like to talk about rates, but as you can see over the last, last few weeks, it's been kind of coming down a little bit. Where's your head at with that? How you feeling about it, Austin?
Good.
Yeah. I will say this, it is tough. It was very tough when we pre-approved the buyer in January last year, and that same buyer was still looking. And then come May, June, like, hey, I found a home, and we do an analysis for how much that monthly payment is going to be for that home, and it ends up being $400 or $500 a month more than it was in January. That was tough to be able to give that news.
Yeah.
So now pre-approving somebody, let's say November, December, or even before then, and then now they're finding homes, or they're active, and we're able to say, hey, your payment may be actually $100 less than it was before. It's a very good thing to be able to say. It's a good feeling. What about you guys? What do you feel about rates right now?
I feel like it's positive, and hopefully it'll continue that route.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping, right?
That's the goal, right?
That is the goal. So.
Good. Hey, no problem, no problem. Tanya, what you feeling about rates?
I'd say that I'm actually enjoying the fact that they are going down, because it is allowing all of the people that had pre-approved halfway last year that weren't able to buy what they wanted to buy just because the interest rate was so high, and they wouldn't qualify in that bracket anymore. Now that they're coming down, they're just waiting for the rates to come down, and then they can possibly buy what they want.
Yeah, it's a tough game because almost every month, majority of the time, home prices go up. So buyers try to play the game of,
I try to tell the buyers, like, you're waiting for the rate to go down, but then when the rate goes down, the houses are going to go up.
Yeah.
So you got to find the middle ground on where you'd be able to buy what you want to buy, and then when the rates go down, just refinance it.
Exactly. Marry the house, date the rate. Yep. All right, good stuff. Keep it moving. NBS Highway and NAR data. Inventory continues to move lower after peaking at 1.3 million in August. Because every time this year, after the normal season build, declined for the 5th straight month to 970,000. This is a decline of 13.4% from the previous report. This will continue to limit the downside in home prices and sets up for reacceleration and appreciation once high renating. That's a lot of words. It's a lot of words that pretty much that's a lot of words, using some words a little bit bigger than the vocabulary. But overall, they're trying to say that inventory is decreasing, which, if you read some of the news outlets, they'll tell you, there's going to be this housing crash. But when you look at this, you see inventory is decreasing. If anybody's taking economics 101, if the supply is coming down, if the demand just stays the same, then that means that it's going to, or if the demand and buyer stays the same, the demand is still going to stay high. Or even if the buyers come down a little bit, if the buyers, don't want to be in the market as much, but there's less supply, then there's still going to be a decent demand for buying homes. So overall, it's looking good right now for the home buying market over the next couple months. The median existing home price for all housing types in December was $366,000, an increase of 2.3% from December 2021. As prices rose in all regions, this marks 130 consecutive months of year-over-year increases, the longest running streak on record. So this is a big stat, in my opinion, because I keep comparing this to the news because that's what everyone sees is the news. So when you're looking at this right here, if you look at a month over month, December came down from November, which a lot of times around this time of the year, it either stays flat or can come down a little bit. But the year over year number tells you, where we're trending when it comes to the actual market. And seeing that for 130 consecutive months, year over year, that's continuing to increase. That's a very positive thing for the market. Any comments on this? No?
I got nothing.
Not on this one? Too many words again?
Yeah.
Any comments on it?
No.
right, we get some photos for you guys. So this would be a fun one to talk about credit. As you can see, over the last 5 years, it stayed pretty steady for about a year or two, between 2018 2019. We got a stimulus check. The amount of credit people had, or their utilized credit, went down. Then it started going up again. And then it got another stimulus check, and it went down again. And then now it's increasing back to where it was before. And people were saying that, over the last couple of quarters, especially with December is only not a good time for credit. Christmas time, buying presents and all that, traveling, that is going to be higher now. What's your perspective right now on credit and, that weighing on people buying a home?
I mean, so I'm sorry, were you saying that credit typically dips around the winter months and then it starts picking up again after?
It normally increases a little bit because, not a ton, but it increases a little bit around the winter months because people do a lot of things on credit. Traveling, people are buying toys and whatnot for their families, people are hosting holiday events. It's a lot of purchases that are happening. So unless somebody saved up for those or had a separate account for them, many times they're putting those things on credit. And as you guys know, with buying a home, it's not the most important thing, but it's a requirement for certain programs to be able to have a certain amount of credit, Exactly. So for your conventional, minimum is 620, even though it's really like 660, 680. FHA, minimum 580, can go down to 500. It has these minimums, but once you've met the minimums, in my opinion, it becomes not the most important thing. It becomes some other factors like debt to income ratio that can contribute a little bit more. But it does matter, at least initially, when it comes to trying to get qualified for many buyers. So overall, what's your perspective right now? Credit, where it's at, with buyers, et cetera. Yeah, and I apologize. I may have explained it better. Going up means that they're using more credit. No problem. One of the biggest things I see with credit is that, or the reason why I'm very big about getting a home, if someone gets a home or not, I would like them for them to get a home, but some people, it may not be the best situation for them. But I love the option of getting a home because it makes that monthly payment consistent. It's not going to go up, every year like it would with the original. Also, after a few years, you can leverage. After a few years, you can leverage that home you bought to be able to refinance and get rid of all that credit. So do I want to see credit going up? In my opinion, no. But overall, to me, this makes it even more important for people to try to buy a home, because if you can get into that home, you're not thinking about saving, you're not thinking about putting this extra away for credit or et cetera. You just keep paying on your home. Within 3 to 5 years, you normally have enough equity to be able to pay off the credit cards, pay off the car payment that's $500-600 a month, those types of things. What's your perspective on this?
Well, like you said, I have noticed some borrowers that, and I've had to tell them, you need to pay down some of your cards because we're having to count those liabilities of those, because they've maxed most of their cards. So it is affecting them purchasing a home.
Correct.
So I feel like we do have to give them guidance on what to do to get where we need them to be able to purchase a home.
Yeah. Go ahead.
How quickly, if you're bringing the balance down, so they're like, okay, we've got a game plan on this, bringing some balance down on the credit card. How quickly can they see an improvement on their credit scores?
I mean, if they're under contract, we can do something called a credit rescore. Sometimes we can do it when they're under contract, but I normally don't do this unless they're actually under contract. We can try and rescore their credit. If they put a balance down their credit, we can send that new balance out to the 3 bureaus, and we can get a credit rescore within a couple of weeks. In general, though, if we're working with somebody like saying, hey, improve your credit this way, do this, pay this account down to this, I was definitely, you can see it within a few months, 2 to 3 months of the buyer. It all depends on how aggressive the buyer is going to be. Because there's always an option to be able to get that credit down within 1 or 2 months. The amount of money it's going to take to do that, it depends on what the buyer is willing to do. That's why this tax return time is very important to speak with the lender before you even, because people plan for their tax return. As soon as they go to their person and say you get it back 6,000, their mind starts going, oh, I go to vacation maybe, or maybe I was thinking about buying a new car. Or their mind starts doing these things. But if you speak to a lender beforehand, and we have the main goal for 2023 is to buy a home, then now when you get those tax returns back, we can start thinking about, oh, maybe we should use it towards a down payment, or maybe we should use it towards paying off this credit card that's $300 a month. But now that's going to be able to not only free up your household, debt up a little bit, but it also gives you some more buying options for a home. A lot of our job is playing financial advisor, by the way. It's not just, we looked at your numbers, you're pre-approved, here you go. A lot of the job is, all right, this is where your credit is at. We recommend doing X, Y, and Z for the credit. Oh, you have your job, you work overtime sometimes. Maybe you need to do some more overtime over the next few months to make sure we have that number high enough so you can be able, you've had a second job sometimes. We recommend you be more consistent with that second job, or use this job more because this job is giving you more income. We play that role a lot of times trying to help people with their numbers. And many times throughout the process, their numbers are getting better. They're making more income because of the advice we're giving them. They're saving up a little bit more because of the advice that we're giving them. Their credit score is improving 20, 30, 40 points because of the advice we're giving them. We're getting to play that role a lot. And then once they refinance after being in the home, now we just, turn their whole life upside down, saving them $1,000 a month. Mm-hmm. Good. That answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool.
So, thank you.
Hey, you got it, man. Anything else you want to mention about credit? Cool. You got it. Because we got something to go over. And Tanya, I hope she recovers from that attack. Whatever was attacking her. Hey, she is a dominant woman. She would do what she wants. Real estate in the news. So we saw what the news is saying about mortgage rates. Now we're going to see what the news is saying about real estate. So one news outlet was saying housing market update. Home prices post small increase as mortgage rates drop. Another one saying what's in store for the 2023 Columbus housing market. I don't know about Columbus, but What third one says, what happened to the home buying rush? South Florida's home sales plunged in 2022. That one right there is a big one, in my opinion, because that's going to get headlines. That's going to get people worried and thinking about it. Tanya's walking around. That's when people thinking that the housing market is not good, but home sales decreased everywhere in 2022. But that doesn't mean that we have a bad market. Welcome back, Tanya. Hope you're doing well. We didn't do too much. We talked about credit a little bit. But otherwise, we're back on. We're about to get more into the real estate data, which is some of the fun data. I just talked about this third one. It says, what happened to the home buying rush? South Florida's home sales plunged in 2022. And I'm saying sales have plunged everywhere. Mm-hmm. But that does not mean that we're in a bad market. There were less homes on the market. Less people putting their homes in the market, but there are also less buyers in the market. And so when it came down to it, the demand for homes was still pretty high. Homes are still selling decently quickly right now. Yeah. It's not as fast as 30 days and 29 days on market like it was, a year and a half, 2 years ago. But as we'll see, in the next couple of slides, the home buying market is still pretty high. All right, so here's the fun data. There's a lot going on here. I know my girl, Vanessa, she was like, what are we going to be going over today? Unfortunately, now we got to break down some data. I try to make it as simple as possible for you. You have all the different color lines of different years. The main year we're looking at is going to be the golden one, which, as you can see, is that guy, and over here is that guy. So we'll look at just the active listing, and then we'll go to the days on market. Active listing is over here. That shows how many homes are actually on the market. So as you can see,
now,
correct. This is as of December 2022. As you can see, there's a trend when it comes to the market. In the beginning of the year, it's kind of flat, and then once people get out of school, in my opinion, around April, May, June, that number of active listings go up, and towards the end of the year, it goes down. Now, 2020, as you can see, the blue line, which is kind of not doing what everything else is doing, that's the COVID year. Obviously, that's an outlier year. I wish I could delete that off there. I'll probably delete it off next time. But as you can see, what we've had, yes, it rapidly increased the number of listings that were in the market for us around April, May, June. But it kind of hit a point to where it's stabilized and it's looking just like the rest of the markets, in my opinion. Any comments on that slide? Cool. Any comments on that one? All right.
You got it.
So the next one is going to be the days on market, which is going to be on the right. And so you speak to a lot of real estate agents, you look at the news and whatnot. We're in a housing bubble, et cetera. The number of days on the market have doubled, over the past 6 months. As you can see, it always goes down and always comes back up during this time of the year. And in my opinion, the numbers are getting just closer towards the green line down there, and also where we were at the beginning of last year. Those are still anomaly years. Like homes being on the market for less than 60 days is a crazy fast market. There's 3 different types of markets. A seller's market means that sellers have control. It's a strong, hot market, and that's when homes are on the market for 5 months or less on average. If it's 5 to 7 months, that's considered a neutral market. Sellers and buyers both have equal control. And then if it's on the market for more than 7 months, that means that the market is not good, it's not hot. Buyers do have a ton of control. You probably get a ton of seller credit on many deals. You can hassle and haggle a lot. It's
I
hard.
feel like that's where we're at now.
You think so? You feel that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Tell me more. Why do you feel that way?
Because there's more listings out in the market right now.
Yeah.
A lot more. There's,
I agree. So there's definitely more listings. And as we can see down here, from 400K to now close to 700K, that's a lot more listings than we had before. But even in normal years, where it was around, 1 mil, 1.1 mil, 1.2 mil, if we're thinking about it compared to these hot years, yeah, there's more listings from what I'm seeing. But we're just looking at it towards a normal market. It's still not fully there yet, in my opinion. The same thing with this days on market. Like, yes, we're able to haggle more, we're able to get seller credit more, et cetera.
because they're out there for a long time.
They're out there right now. But even looking at this, the goal line, they're still out there for 2 months.
But we're talking about like if you look back at last year, they were on the market.
Correct. And there was like 20 buyers. Last year's gonna be one of those years, 10 years from now, people will be like, hey, remember? Do y'all remember beginning of 2022? Do y'all remember 2021? I had to pay $30 extra just to get my home. And there's even worse horror stories than that. So just being able to see a home price, you put in a bid at that price and you get the home at that price, and you're not competing with someone else as much. Yeah, I agree with you. It's definitely, it feels good.
Yeah, it feels more like like on the buyer side right now. Like your buyers have a little bit more control right now.
Yeah, it definitely has more control. I agree with you. It's not a situation where they can just come in and they own the entire thing and they're pretty much telling the seller what to do. Not yet. You think that? Hey, Tanya's making predictions out here. January 2023. Tanya's telling us how she's feeling. Y'all agree with Tanya? Y'all on Tanya's team? Choose.
No.
Choose. Team Tanya? Do you think the market is going to keep getting worse and worse and worse if the buyers have more control? Or do you think it's going to kind of stabilize and just kind of stay where it's at? Cool.
My opinion.
So,
I understand.
you what? You abstain? You abstain?
I'll wait.
Tell me, what you feel?
I'm gonna help.
Cool. Hey, that'll work. So we got T, who's like, yo, market's
It's gonna
going to
get better for everybody.
There you go. I like the confidence, T. You tell that tall guy how you feel.
Put it out there.
Hey, I agree. It'll be better for all of us, We can be able to, if our buyers can have more control, and that's going to be a lot more beneficial for us when it comes to get them on the contract and get them into homes. Yeah, I agree. For them and their families. All right, so the second part of these, some more lines, median listing price is going to be on the left. This is one you're going to see a lot, and this is one that I need to see the January numbers on where this one's going to be at. Because as you can see, the goal line, we're still way higher than last year, the year before, etc. When it comes to, even if somebody bought a home last year when it was hot, you know, and people were saying that, oh, the market slowed down, it's cool, etc. They still gained on average, you know, a good $25,000 over, you know, what they bought it at last year. Has it come down? Yes. But as you can see on the graph, it normally stabilizes and comes down a little bit this time of the year. It's come down more than it normally comes down. But that's why, in my opinion, January is going to make that's going to be a very big number we're going to see happen in January, because that's when it normally starts going up. If that line still goes down or stays neutral, that's going to be something to watch, in my opinion. But if it actually ends up going up, that's going to be something, you know, to be able to watch. What's your vibe right now on this price?
You gotta go.
I'm gonna switch my order on the race.
I have been noticing what I'm seeing in the graph with, you know, our borrowers and the listings that they're showing us, that the prices kind of. I'm hoping to see that trend in January, that will help our borrowers. But,
okay, cool. Thank you for your opinion. Appreciate that. Tanya, what you got going on? What's your vibe on these prices?
I wish they go down more, I mean, for our buyers.
Okay. So do you think it's going to go down lower than where it was, you know, beginning of this year? Are we going to see decreases?
I think we're gonna see decreases because they've been on the market longer. So these sellers want to sell it, so they're gonna be decreasing.
Yeah. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to see. It all depends on how many people want to put their homes on the market and how many people want to buy a home. You know, people still aren't putting their homes on the market for whatever reason. I think people don't know how much equity they have in their homes, if I'm being honest. If people knew how much equity they had, they'll be doing more real estate transactions. If they knew that, you know, they bought their home 4 years ago, and 4 years ago was what? The orange line. And if they bought that home for $270K, and that home is now worth $370K, if they knew they had $100,000 worth of equity in their home, they may be more willing to make some moves and do some things. But if they don't really know, and all they do is hear on the news, oh, it's a bad time to sell a home, they may not move as often. You also have the buyer side, which is all we need is interest rates to come down 0.5%. Mm-hmm. And then everybody and their mom is going to be trying to buy a house.
Yeah.
So if more people don't try to sell their house, and then more people try to buy a house, you can potentially see that number go up. But if, you know, the news starts pumping out all this good news about the real estate market, if interest rates come down, things of that nature, and people start wanting to sell more, then we could see more of what you're saying right now, which is if there's more sellers, but then again, the interest rate comes down, more sellers and more buyers at the same time. So, I mean, here's one thing, by the way, people who are listening, we're not economists over here. We're just loan originators, maybe some additional titles, but in general, we help people, you know, get into homes, and we do have to do a lot of this for our job. We do have to understand what's happening with interest rates. We do have to be able to advise people on their credit and on their assets, finances, etc. But that is not who we are. We are not a PhD in, you know, economics or PhD in financial advising. We're just people who do this a lot and take care of a lot of people. But good, Austin, back over to you, Boomerang. Any vibes on that one?
It sucks for
yeah.
But
well, I'll say this.
They still saw a lot of
yeah. Well, here's a big situation is that there's always a market for a home. So what's up? Right?
I grab it. I think you got it though.
You think so?
Yeah, I hope so.
I ate it. Some morning protein. Look at you, man. I'll make sure to have some Dunkin' little Look at you, even know the name of it. I don't even gotta. I was about to think it out. I was about to figure it out, but he knows. Threw me off with his breakfast. But yeah, so what was happening the last couple of years is that a seller would have their home, a real estate agent would come in there, be like, hey, how much do you want to sell it for? And the seller would say, I want to sell it for X amount. And in most years, the real estate agent goes, all right, I know you want to sell it for that amount, but this is what the market is showing, et cetera, et cetera. I recommend you come in at this price rather than this crazy high price. Over the past couple of years, real estate agent goes and sits down with a seller, hey, what do you want to sell this for? So I want to sell it for this price. And the real estate agent goes, all right, cool, we can try it out. Let's throw it over there at that price. And then people would go at that price, not even go at it, they would offer 30, 40K more. And this person sells their house and they tell their neighbor, hey, I sold it for X amount, or it's this much more than I was expecting. And so now it becomes this thing. But nowadays, there's always a market for selling a home. But if you're just slapping on numbers and just thinking that anyone's going to buy a home right now, it's not going to be like that. In my opinion, it's going to be much more like a normal market where you have to actually look at the data and price your home in the market where it should be at. Because unfortunately, if you price it 15K over, 20K over, it's going to sit there. The fish is not going to be biting. So I think that number from the last slide that was showing that, homes are still in the market, around 60 days, 70 days, that's still a pretty fast market. So if someone's pricing their home right, it can still come off the market decent quick. But if somebody goes out there, Joe Schmo, decides to not get a real estate agent, they decide to sell it on their own, they decide to throw some crazy number on there, then, it could end up sitting there 4, 5, 6 months. You could find a deal. So I agree with you on that. The number on the right, this was a big number, especially in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had a lot of big price reductions over the past, during the middle of this year. And as you can see, in the beginning of the year, there were hardly no price reductions that were happening. It was around 6%, which last year, the golden line and the green line are just, anomaly years. Also, the light blue line, that's the COVID year, anomaly years. All the lines that are at the top are more like normal years. So in the beginning of the year, there were hardly no price reductions. And then you see that golden line shoot up. And that's when every real estate agent was like, oh my gosh, the market is going to crash because look at this number just flying up. But as you can see, over the past, couple months, just like it does on every other normal year, the price reductions have decreased. Are there still price reductions happening? Yes. Are there still a lot more price reductions than there were over the past couple of years? Yes. But the numbers, in my opinion, are looking more like a normal year. That number kept shooting up. If it was like, oh, now we're at 30% of homes, prices getting reduced, that would sound my bell a lot more. But with seeing this, kind of looking a little bit more normal now, it gives me hope for the market. What's your vibe on this, ladies?
I didn't know until seeing this graph that it's trending to our normal years, which is nice to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if someone in the news or whatever just compares price reductions at where it's at now versus beginning of last year, they can use whatever number they want to use and make something pop. But you get to see it over time like this. It does. I hope that gives a little more hope. What's your vibe, Tanya, on that?
Yeah,
Cool. Thanks, Steve. Saying, hey, look at this. No problem. See some disagreements. My general conclusion after looking at this, we're going to differ a little bit on our general conclusions, but news only factors in what looks bad, or many times it could potentially just be a seasonal dip that happens every year. When you take the data, you look at it year over year, the story, in my opinion, is showing that we're just more in a normal market. So exactly what we just stated just now. All right. So this is going to get more regional. One big thing to note is that the real estate game, in my opinion, is a neighborhood to neighborhood game, where the prices are going up, down, 20 people putting in offers versus 5 people putting in offers. It's going to depend neighborhood to neighborhood. So when we're looking at national data, that's not going to tell you the actual real story, what's happening in your neighborhood. That just tells you where it's happening, on a grand scale. But in each region, which is the Northeast, New York area, Midwest, Chicago and whatnot, South, Texas, Louisiana, even Florida's in that. And then the West, you're going to have your Californias, Oregon, et cetera. it's going to differ region to region what's actually happening in the real estate market. For example, active listing count. You know, look at the South and the West. Over 100% more homes on the market in the South and the West versus the Midwest and the Northeast. You know, it's still a decent increase, 28% to 16%, but nowhere near as much as the South and the West. So when we look at the national data, it's going to show more listings, but in your neighborhood, it may not be as drastic as it is on the national data. Also looking at median days on the market, which is this one. I'm kind of skipping all this up in the middle. But the median days on market, if you're in the South or the West, you're noticing that these homes are sitting just a little bit more than they normally would sit. You know, 18 days more in the West, 13 days more in the South. That's a decent amount of days, you know, for, you know, the home sitting on the market more. But if you're in the Midwest or the Northeast, you're not feeling it like that. It just feels like extremely normal. You don't know why all the news is throwing out these crazy articles about the housing market. It just seems like a very chill year to you, in my opinion. What's your vibe right now in this regional data, ladies?
Interesting to see. Yeah.
Very big difference.
Usually point out like the stuff that I wouldn't go and look for. So thank you for putting it on.
Hey, see, appreciate that. Now, when you talk to agents, they may still like, it'd be tough to be able to persuade people about where these numbers are at. But for your own understanding, when you're talking to your own buyers, your own friends and family, et cetera, and people that look to you for their advice, it's good to kind of know these things. B, what's your vibe on this right now?
That I would have not thought of looking into them.
Sure.
And see the impact.
Hey, you got it. What about you, bud?
I think it's wild. I would have thought like people up in the cold would be like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's also some data, if you look at it, the West is always the hottest housing market. Yeah, it's always when it's going great, the West is just burning bright. But as soon as it starts changing or getting different, they're the ones that are getting affected the most. And then the South, in my opinion, is just hot. You know, it's just, I mean, it's hot because it's hot, but it's also hot because, you know, people want to live in Florida. Who doesn't want? Why would you want to live in Chicago? I mean, I love Chicago, but if they had Chicago in Florida, that would be where the spot would be at. No contest. People want to live in Texas, Florida, things of that nature, where I can be outside in shorts right now if I wanted to. Maybe that's today, but in general, you know, you want to live here. While the Midwest, I think people are starting to wake up that it used to be great, but tornadoes, cold weather, you know, mountains. It's good to visit mountains, but to live around mountains, I don't know, not for me. Probably not for y'all either, in my opinion. Cool. So once again, exactly. So regional data, but then there's also Florida data. So we're in Florida, so if you're somewhere else, just bear with us. But in the state of Florida, it's going to change from, you know, metro to metro to metro. So these are the 4 biggest metros in Florida. Of course, you get your Miami metro, you get your Jacksonville metro, your Orlando metro, and then Tampa, we're at the bottom. And as you can see, median list price is going to differ from where you at. Of course, Miami, that's the hottest place in Florida, so median list price is $590,000. In Jacksonville, $386,000. So if you want a deal in Florida, Jacksonville might be where it's at. And then Tampa, $405, Orlando, $429. So that's good to be able to know that there is a difference in the different metros. But once again, looking at some of those stats we've been looking at already previously, median list price, Miami, up 20% year over year, the list price. So you may have some news outlet that's comparing December to November, or December numbers to, you know, August numbers. But year over year, if you bought a home last year versus this year, they've gone up 20%, which is a lot, by the way. On a standard year, 4 to 5% is where economists will want it to be. That's a decent amount of growth to where it's growing, but it's not astronomical. So looking at this, 20% is a ton. Orlando, 10%. That's a hot area too. They have a lot of land in Orlando, and people want to move there, especially be next to Disney, and all that, you still maybe 30 minutes an hour from the beach. So look at you. There's food everywhere, except for when you get in those small towns, you know, you get towards Ocala, they got a Wendy's or a Subway, and that's about it. But as you can see though, Tampa, still hot. I mean, especially for December, but not as hot as some of those other places. And then Jacksonville, you know, just okay, 5%. And then we're looking at median days on market over here. Is a difference between the different areas. So Tampa Bay is still pretty hot. Tampa Bay, Miami is only increased 5 days on the market, while Jacksonville 17 days longer on the market than it was before. So once again, there's the national data, then there's the regional data, and then this is the metro data. And even in your own neighborhoods, this neighborhood right here versus the neighborhood across the street is going to have slightly different data as well. What's your vibe on that, ladies, that you're seeing right now with the state of Florida metros?
That's interesting to see. Tampa, Miami are still hot places. Is what I'm getting, right?
Yeah, you got it. People are still trying to get there. I mean, it sounds, people will get it mixed up. They'll see that the number of listings increase. They'll think, oh, that's a spot where it's not hot. But that days on market, in my opinion, shows a better picture of
Right.
if a market is hot or not. If homes are, it doesn't matter if it increases. If homes are selling
fast, then that's a hot market.
Yeah. I mean, in some of these markets, you could have more builders that are in those areas. So that's increasing the number of homes on the market. You can maybe have some people that are moving from one area to the next a lot for job opportunities. But when it comes down to it, people are trying to get to those areas if that days on market is staying low. What's your vibe, Austin? What do you like from this?
So
you can ask questions, so you don't have to give an opinion.
So this data is more valuable. I guess first question, like, are there still, is it still increasing the number of people that are coming into Florida from like other states, or is that just kind of?
Yeah, Florida is still increasing in population.
Yeah. And okay, but I guess John.
I mean, if you're somebody who was forced to go into an office 3-4 years ago, and now in COVID time, you were trapped in your house, you couldn't go anywhere, couldn't go to any restaurants, and you got to deal with 5-degree weather. Like, I would much rather, if I'm working from home and not going into an office, be able to go to the beach, maybe work on the beach or do whatever else, than looking at my home and it's 10 degrees and there's a tornado flying by. I'd much rather be where I'm at here right now. Yeah. But then in Florida, people want to figure out, all right, where should I go in Florida? There's people who live in Florida right now, maybe don't like the city they're in. They want to try to figure out a different city to go to, or maybe they're in the country in Florida. There's a lot of country in Florida. They want to go move to the big city. Like, oh, which city is going to be most affordable? This is going to tell you, all right, Jacksonville's will probably be the most affordable. But this is also like the entire metro data too. So in these cities, you have what's happening in downtown, but 30 to 45 minutes outside of downtown is going to be a slightly different market, more affordable, et cetera. But I think this information is most critical for real estate agents because they're the ones talking to the most people. We can be considered scary sometimes as mortgage folks because we're going to find, I mean, I think we're nice people, we're not scary. But when people hear mortgage, no, you're not scary at all. You're not.
None of us are.
You're not. None of you are. Except the cat.
Well, something.
But yeah, I mean that shirt that makes scared of birds. But yeah, it's best for real estate agents to actually know the data. I mean, there's some of these bigger offices, real estate agent offices that pride themselves in training. They train people. It's even been tough to train people in those offices, but people just stopped going to trainings a lot since COVID. But they need to be educated because they're the ones advising buyers on where to move to, where to go, what's happening, should you buy now, should you not buy now, etc. But also for buyers too, just a little bit, just to understand what's happening too. I think this data is very relevant. They don't need to memorize all this stuff, but just understanding kind of like true news versus potential. When somebody's scrolling on Facebook, they're getting whatever the news outlets are showing them, which sometimes are right, but many times are not correct. So this is good for them to get some true news, understand what's happening. All right. Yeah, buddy. SummaryRealtor.com data for myself. Real estate is a neighborhood game, like I've been stating. Data from the news is deceiving. National data can also be deceiving since real estate in the Midwest can be different from real estate in the West or the South, etc. Most important, speak with your local realtors, your local mortgage professionals who know what is going on in your market. All right. This is kind of my thing. I just had to throw a slide in there about this. I got to keep educating on this manufactured home game because people have no idea. The average purchase price of a home is probably around $350K right now. And then for a new home is even higher than that. But if people have land or people are able to buy an old mobile home and get that moved off and put a new mobile home on it, you can do a lot of things with these new mobile home properties. They look very nice. You can get safety and security wise, you can be able to, they can withstand, the category 4s, the category 5s. And then if you're getting a modular, they actually look like homes. They can be able to survive like homes, and they're built to the same code as a site-built home. But the biggest difference is in these prices right here. So there's single wides and double wides. Double wides are normally, anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 square feet. Single wide are probably anywhere from 500 to 1,000 square feet. And the difference in prices versus new homes that are site-built is a big difference. So double wide is at the bottom. As you can see, as of right now, they're probably around $160K for a new double wide. And by the way, there's people who are making like mansions, ranches. They're doing a lot of different things with these double wides. Single wide is a lot. You're not going to get these big giant mansions and whatnot with them. But if somebody just wants a home that has newer appliances, newer fixtures, newer things in it, you don't think it's not going to break down on you. You still have space. The single wide can still be, you're only one person or maybe 1 or 2 people living in the property. A single wide can still be a great deal for you. And as you can see, it's still less than 100K right now for a single wide property. What's your vibe on mobile homes? I call them factory homes.
Like you said, I think there might be misconceptions about them, and that's why a lot of people don't want to look into them.
Yeah.
But I think it is a great alternative for a lot of borrowers. And like you said, there's new ones too that maybe people are not looking into.
A mobile home,
a good starter home
Mm-hmm.
for the young adults, for the young ones, and also for the elderly people. It's good homes for them.
Correct. People that are downsizing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have mobile home communities too. I don't know if I've ever driven through one, but
They have
people are
55
nice.
and over, yeah.
They have those. People are nice. These communities, they're waving, they're friendly. They have shuffleboard. If you're a shuffleboard fans, they have pools. They have these other additional events and whatnot. But you still get your own property to where you're not like, in some group home or whatever else.
Yeah.
So this is just something that I need to be on people's radars a little bit more. When people think mobile homes, in my opinion, they're thinking about a mobile home built in like 1965. A mobile home built in 2020. They've even got some that are looking like spaceships, that are looking like brand new, etc. A lot of these aren't, there's traditional ones, and those are still happening all over the state of Florida, Georgia, etc. All the fun stuff, unfortunately, is out in California and in Europe. So hopefully they'll start making their way over to where we're at over here. But there's a lot of different things you can do with this. Just a lot of things you can do with it. Oh, my bad. Oh, my bad. Yeah, man. Yeah. Go ahead, scary shirt. Yeah.
The more modern stuff.
Open, modern, all of it. Right, exactly.
Yes.
We do single wide mobile homes, double wide mobile homes. As long as it's after 1976, it can't be like some fixer upper mobile home. It's got it, and it doesn't have to be like perfect, but exactly, it has to pass the inspections.
you and the seller.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, there's two parts of the, I mean, there's a pre-approval part, then there's you're in the contract now, but the appraisal hasn't been completed. And then there's the, all right, appraisal is completed, we're trying to get to the finish line as soon as possible part. Once you actually get the appraisal in, the inspections in and whatnot, and we know, all right, the appraiser says this has to be fixed, that has to be fixed. They can be negotiated on how that gets fixed. Beforehand, it could be, buyer fixes it could be seller fixes it. Many times we'll do post-closing, like, hey, let's get to the closing table. The seller finally gets their check of 60, 70, 80K. So, they're not having to come out of pocket for what they have right now. They're coming out of pocket from their net proceeds from the sale to fix this thing. Many ways to be able to, and even do 50% here, 50% there, 30, 70%. Many ways to get items fixed and treated, either before closing or after closing. So yeah, the most important thing is get get the different inspections completed, and then you can go from there.
Two additional questions.
Go ahead, bud.
Let me know if you want me to take it off. But okay, so one, what is that process? Buy the land. That two separate deals, is that like a hand or something first? And then you're doing a manufactured house deal?
Yeah, so that deal will be two separate deals.
Okay.
If you buy land, you can buy land and also build at the same time with a one-time close, or you just buy the land and then do it. I mentioned that as a hack because if you just buy a plot of land with trees on it and it's not developed, that's a process to make that plot of land.
To get the building code, all that stuff.
All the permits, all the trees removed, the foundation level. To do all that is going to take a process, but that's what people head mainly goes. If you have some older mobile home, even if nobody's been in it for 5, 10 years,
buying the land.
You're buying the land, exactly. You're buying a discounted land. Many times you get that land for discounted. And then all you got to do is get the mobile home removed. And now you have the foundation set up. There's some utilities, maybe it has to get turned back on or something fixed, but the foundation is there to where you just get that foundation touched up a little bit, plop down a new mobile home. Or you can even plop down you can get a site built home built there as well. But that's the hack, in my opinion, is finding these older mobiles, getting them off, and then trying to put something newer in its place. But yeah, what else you got? Austin, what else you got, man?
Or a brand new
Site built around 400K, double wide mobile home, so anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 square foot, around 180K, and single wide mobile home. This is brand new, by the way, so new appearance, new everything, and open floor plans. Single wide, which is probably around 500 to 1,000 square feet, is going to be about 90K. Yeah.
And like I said, that's good for like the ones that are starting to want to buy their homes. Getting out of college or whatever.
I agree. And the next level, which is, this probably should have been my 2023, what I'm thinking about a lot right now, is accessory dwelling units. Like, there's people who actually already own a home. For example, your parents own a home, or grandparents own a home, or whoever owns a home, and just pulling a couple of, sometimes you don't even need permits for them because it's already in the building code, the zoning code, for you to be able to put an accessory dwelling unit on a property. Many times these can be around. It could be a mother-in-law suite. It could be less than that. It could be, a little bit smaller than a mother-in-law suite. Yeah, associations. I mean, you don't really want to buy an association unless you have to, anyways. But yeah, if it's not an association, they own their own land. Then just putting a property in the back, that could be your even cheaper option. You're not really having to do all the foundation and whatnot. The home is already there. You may or may not have a bathroom, and it's an accessory dwelling unit. Some could be like a mother-in-law suite where you have everything in it. Some could be like, hey, you just have like your living quarters, but it's outside of your parents' place or outside of whoever's place. You're living over here. You may come inside for lunch or dinner or to say what's up, but you still feel as if you have your own place, your own. Yeah. Your own setup. But those, I mean, they can go anywhere from, 5, 10K, up to the really nice ones, you know, start going towards maybe 50, 60K. So that's the next level down, you know. That could be like, hey, I'm just out of college, but I don't want to be in my parents' home. You're still next to your parents' home, but I don't want to be waking up and looking straight at, you know, take out the trash or something when I'm 25 years old. So yeah, that's an option too. So no problem. What else you got?
That's it.
All right, for now. You guys, we're getting close towards the end. Now some more fun stuff that I know you guys definitely can talk about, and I'll probably talk less on these that let you guys ride with them. Down payment assistance programs are still a thing. Many different ways you can get them. It's county programs, state programs, local programs. Many different ways you can get them. Anywhere from 10K up to 25K, sometimes even more than that. Tanya, tell us a little bit more about down payment assistance programs, please.
Oh, there's a lot of them. Different rates, you know, conventional VA, hometown heroes.
Hometown heroes, correct.
Yeah.
Still a big one. Lots of money out there for people who are, you know, veterans, teachers, chiropractors, massage therapists can get them too. I mean, there's a lot.
There's a lot there, and it's a great option for, you know, first-time homebuyers that don't have a lot of the savings, you know, a lot of the savings that they're going to need to get their home.
Yeah, agreed.
And I'm loving that the rates are going down.
They have. That's, I mean, the biggest knock on down payment programs, a lot of times the rate can be 0.75%, an entire percentage point higher than some of your non-down payment programs. So that same buyer, you know, whether they get assistance or not, could be looking at $100 a month more by going with the assistance. But the rates right now for many of these programs, which for your normal programs, you can choose between about 15 different rates. So it's not just one rate you get for your one credit score. You can choose from rates once you're under contract. One's in the middle.
You can buy it down.
You can buy it down, meaning you're paying extra to be able, at closing, to be able to have a lower rate.
Right.
Or you can get seller credit. You go with a higher rate, and now the lender, I'm not seller, but lender credit, and now you're getting $2, $3, $4 extra $1,000 towards closing by going a higher rate. But down payment programs are normally have the higher interest rate, but the rates are actually pretty decent right now.
Yeah.
Sometimes even better than
the regular ones. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then the ones that are at 7 point something% for the assistance is usually the conventional one. And at that point, I would give my buyer both options. Like I'd be like, okay, if you want to go conventional, this is what you're gonna qualify for, which is gonna be usually a good 15 to 20 grand less than what you would qualify for FHA bond.
Correct.
Just because of the interest rate.
Yeah.
So I usually give them both options, and most of the time they'll go FHA.
Yeah. If you are a first-time buyer and your credit score is, by the way, mid 600s is a decent credit score. People don't understand that. Buyers don't understand that. Real estate agents, mid 600s can get you qualified for many different programs. But if your credit is less than 700, if you're putting down less than 20%, for a majority of these buyers, especially the first-time buyers, FHA is going to end up being a better program for them, have better numbers for them, and it is not harder to close. The appraisals 9 out of 10 times come in the exact same way that it would with a conventional appraisal. There's many real estate agents that don't do too much business, and they have, you know, they get the scaries when they see FHA, VA, etc. But when you work with a good real estate agent on your side as a buyer's agent, we work with a good lender, we'll be able to explain that, hey, these programs are not as scary as you think they are. FHA is going to normally be, well, like you said, we'll give them the options, but we're kind of a lot of times, you know, if they're less than 700 credit score, first time buyer, less than 20% down, it's FHA. You're not going to keep that same loan anyways.
Right.
Within 3 to 5 years, you're going to refinance to try to get out mortgage insurance, save a few $100 a month. You may even sell the property because you were in this city. You're still young, maybe 25, 30, 35, 40, etc. But now you got to move to this city for whatever reason. So you're not going to keep the same loan. So those can be very good options going to FHA, et cetera. Good. Vanessa, what you got?
A question I get about bond is, can I buy the rate down? And that's where I give them options, and I tell them, no, if we go bond, you're going to get this assistance, but this is the rate you're going to have. Or we can not do the assistance, you're going to have to save more money, and this is what your rate could be.
Yeah.
So offering them options like you mentioned, it's always, so they can put everything in perspective and have the numbers and see what makes more sense to them.
Sure. When you're a second or third time buyer, you can start controlling how your mortgage process works, and you can try to get the best of both worlds, which means you're getting a lower monthly payment and you're getting a lower cash to close potentially. But when you're buying a home for the first time, you're normally having to choose between one of those two, either the lower monthly payment or the lower cash to close. And that's between you, your significant other, et cetera, for which one you prefer the most. If you're going down payment assistance, in general, not right now, but in general, you're normally choosing I want the lower cash to close, but the monthly payment, it could potentially be a little higher. Right now, it's not that way, but in general, that's the way it normally works. And if you're going with that, hey, I'm a first time buyer, but I have cash, but I need that monthly payment as low as possible, I'm normally recommend those buyers don't go with those programs, even though they could qualify for them, just because now you can control the rate a little bit more. If you do have over the 700 credit score, you may be able to get, lower monthly or lower. Actually, the mortgage insurance sometimes on these programs can be
Is lower. Yeah.
So these programs are.
What I have noticed is that it costs more. Like
It does.
I have loans that go through the bond program, and at one point or another, I would have to flip it regular FHA. And yes, it's $10,000 that they're getting, but then the cash to close goes down. So the actual program
Correct.
is charging.
They actually charge you for these programs, by the way.
Yes.
They're giving you 10K, but you're actually paying an additional 2K at closing.
I usually like to give people both options because of that whole.
Correct.
Especially the ones that have money. Like, hey, everything else, the monthly payment's going to probably be lower with the bond. If you go regular FHA with your credit score, it all depends on the actual loan, because it all depends on the credit score. To me,
the credit score gives you the options.
Yeah.
If you only got a 590 credit score, you're not going to have too many options for getting home. You won't be able to go with this. Conventional's out the window. You got only FHA, and you probably got a co-bar on there as well to make it happen. You get towards 640, things start to open up. You get above 700. You can pretty much go with any program.
And you know what? I just wanted to put it out there. Not a lot of people know that these bond programs, you're able to have a non-occupying co-borrower that will not live in the house, but you can actually qualify for and still get the down payment assistance, even though that other person may have a home.
I agree. Don't try to do it all on your own. That's a very important thing. There's some people like, I've worked so hard to get my credit up. I worked so hard. I was that dude, 18 years old. I was out of the house. I wasn't trying to ask for hardly anything from my parents. I was trying to be independent, and I've been pretty independent, for a very long time. But when it comes down to buying a home, do what you got to do to get into the home. If you got to throw a co-borrower, mom, grandma, auntie, etc. loan, do what you got to do. You can always refinance them off the loan 1 to 2 years after being in the actual property. But if that's the difference between you renting another 2 years or 5 years and paying an extra $100K to a landlord versus you having your own home and building your own equity, do your own thing, it's better to ask for help than try to figure it out yourself. What you got, bud?
No, okay. Getting what is still comfortable, starting to build that especially
Yep.
Always check out that Hometown Heroes program. It's awesome.
Yep. One big thing about Hometown Heroes, these programs also have income restrictions. So on a normal down payment assistance program, it may be anywhere from 70 to 90K when it comes to either you or your entire household can't make more than that amount. But with the Hometown Heroes program, it'll actually go up to 120K when it comes to how much they can be able to make. So it gives a lot more people the opportunity to get that money. Like you said, if you can go up to $25,000 potentially, it's a lot of money, man.
Yeah. And
Yep. I mean, before COVID happened, when we were in more normal markets, there were many buyers that we were getting pretty much close to zero when it came to closing. They don't have problems making the payments, but some people have trouble understanding how to save. And so they'll have some money saved up. But once again, 300K home, even putting down minimum for first time buyer, 20K, that's tough to get to for many people. To get the 20K, 15K, 10K. I run numbers for buyers all the time, And as someone who's very responsible, who saves a ton, they may be able to get to what, 10K? Maybe it was be, hey, I'm getting a tax return, then they can use it towards that. But your average person, they're like, hey, I worked hard, I saved a few thousand, but they're gonna need some assistance to be able to get towards closing, whether it's with one of these programs, whether it's with lender credit somehow, seller credit, you can go 3 to 6% of the purchase price. Like Tanya was saying earlier, we're seeing a lot more of that now. If you can get $10,000, people don't understand this. If a home costs $300,000, and instead of trying to come in at 300,000, or instead of trying to lowball at 290,000, if you come in right at 300,000, or maybe a little bit higher, but you can get $10,000 in credit from the seller, and that's saving you $10,000 on closing. If you're the buyer who needs the lowest, cash flow as possible, that can be a big deal for you. While $10,000 in purchase price, that may be what, $50 a month in monthly payments.
Yeah.
You may not even feel, you're probably not going to feel that if you're trying to go, I need the lowest cash flow as possible. Hey.
No.
Tanya's seeing like numbers. She's seeing like numbers on the board, doing calculations. She's seeing like plus multiplications. She sees them. Not underestimate Tanya. Y'all see the jean jacket. Good. What else you got? Cool. Yeah, fun stuff. I think we had a request for a flyer. Yeah, we had a request. It was you, Tanya, right? You requested this. Once again, there's the traditional programs. There's your FHAs, your VAs. There's your, just your traditional stuff. And then there's many additional programs to help people out when it comes to getting a home. Can you go over this a little bit more? Some of these additional products that are out there for people. I mean, you know them.
But I know them. I know. Bank statement loans.
Yep.
There is investor cash flow loans.
Yep.
There
Well,
is
you don't have to show any
tax returns.
any tax return.
You just need to have your primary residence and the money to buy. Which is a great product for investors because they're not using their own money. Because a lot of investors they try to buy cash out, right? But then you're like putting 100 grand. You're just dropping 100 grand. Why not just do 20% and get one of these programs where you're just using our money?
Correct.
To build your empire.
Yeah. Empire. I love it. We're going Star Wars here. One thing to know about these programs, there's many of them out there. I mean, it's foreign national, so typically you have to have lived in the States for 2 years to get one of these standard program loans. But they have loans for people who don't even live here, foreign national type of loans. Like Tanya stated, you have the bank statement loans, which means you may write, if you're self-employed, we have to get your tax returns, which this is a great time of the year. Yeah. Before you finalize on your taxes, make sure that you get a draft copy from whoever prepares them. If you're trying to buy a home or refinance, get them to your lender, one of us hopefully, as soon as possible. That way we can be able to say, hey, yes, you're showing enough on your actual income to be able to get this home versus not get this home or refinance or not get a refinance. But they have the bank statement loans too that are like, hey, we know you write everything off on your tax returns. We know that's the best situation for you. But if you show us your bank statements, we can calculate, your actual income, and we can give you, and these aren't your typical products. FHA has their certain restrictions. These restrictions are very close to conventional, very close to VA. All these loans, the traditional loans, their qualifications are very similar. But these loans, they actually perform well too. Like people aren't getting these loans and, filing foreclosure a year or two later. No. Like, these loans perform very well. Many times your down payment is a little bit higher on them. You're not coming with 3% down or 3.5 or 5% down. Many times it's close towards 10, 15, some programs 20. Yeah. But they do give people more options. Yeah, 15, 20, correct. But they do give them more options though. B, anything about these programs?
I think you guys covered.
Cool. You got it. Mr. Question Man.
Yeah, the one that
I know. We mentioned it. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Non-warrantable condos. Condos is a big thing. Not only are you trying to get the buyer pre-approved, there's lot loans too. Yeah. So I mean, there's different loans that are out there, and being able to go to a lender that you trust that offers all these programs, I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of good people who are in this lending space. Many of them only want to do conventional. And then, the next group, which is probably 90% of them, only want to do conventional and FHA. And then you have lenders like us who, whatever we got to do to get the buyer into the home in the best case situation possible, we're trying to do that. So we offer the down payment assistance programs. We have access to all these other different types of programs, whether it's bank statement loans, non-warrantable condos, jumbo loans as well, foreign national loans. There's many different ways to get into a home. So don't think about it. Come to us first.
Yeah.
Cool. Homestead needs to be filed before March 1st in Florida. So if you bought a home last year, it's your primary residence, you want to be able to save a lot on taxes, make sure you are filing that before March 1st. You can normally find on your property appraiser website. If you have questions about those, come to a lender, one of us, or your real estate agent you trust. We can better help you out with that. Self-employed, this is what we were mentioning this before. If you plan to purchase a home or refinance this year, you can go to your prepare, and instead of filing with, the actual IRS right now, you just get a draft copy. Like, hey, this is what it's going to look like when we do file it. Get it over to us. We can run some initial numbers based off of that self-employed. Guys, we got to the end. Hey, do your bum. Breakfast. Final thoughts. We discussed a lot of different things today. We discussed mortgage rates. We discussed where the real estate market is at. We discussed my favorite mobile homes right now.
Yeah.
We went over some programs. What's the final thoughts that you have, Tanya?
This was great. I haven't seen you in a couple of months.
It's been-
So
it's been
I'm
really good.
actually happy. I'm
Thanks. Glad to have you here.
sorry I, coughed a little bit and step out.
Yeah, something attacked you, man. I don't know what. Something started to punch you in the ankle or. Even got you. Vanessa, final thoughts. This is your first time here, right?
It is.
Hey, hanging out on a Saturday morning, 5 a.m. on a Saturday. Good job. What you got?
Well, I enjoyed being with you guys. So always good for change. We don't get.
Don't make it
we don't
mushy.
spend
Don't make it
time
mushy.
with that. Oh, come on.
Don't turn it into like some I'm gonna have a tear right here. I don't do that.
Yes. Yes.
Yo, chill, relax. You see me 1 or 2 times a week, bro. State, do that. You got your community service you're throwing out there now.
Yes.
Austin's the king of basketball in Pinellas County. Yep. Tanya is a Netflix queen. You want any show recommendations? Just don't ask about it. She gonna spoil it for you? I don't mind spoilers. I'm a Wikipedia guy, so that is correct. That is correct. Only for myself. Austin, how was it, man?
Hey.
Thanks, man. What's one thing you probably taken from this? Like you was like, whoa. So do I need to send y'all the slides after this so y'all can just kind of digest everything we went over? Yep. Yeah. We are all seeing, it always starts with the pre-approval. All those real estate data we did, that's nice and dandy, but it all starts with, are people actually talking to mortgage lenders to get pre-approved? And from what we're seeing right now, people normally, they don't come to us in a holiday. People are too busy. They're family, friends. As soon as Halloween hits, people are halfway checked out, for the rest of the year. Halfway checked out the rest of the year. But come January 1st, when they start making those New Year resolutions, and they talk to the significant other, like, we gotta buy a house this year. We're all seeing it right now. Pre-approval's up.
Also because a lot of people tax season
To get the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the time where it does start to pick up.
You got it. It's fun times right now. It's not a dry market. It's a hot market out of Florida, keeping it sunny. Appreciate having y'all here. Hey, y'all want to check out some homes maybe afterwards? We'll see. Maybe. All right. Have a great time. Appreciate you. And y'all have a great rest of your day.
Wow.
Ah. Ha 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 ha. You know it.